नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवस्ति गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Let us discuss one of the stories by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, who was the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of the Hare Krishna movement. This story is called The Blind Man Holding the Cow's Tail. What happens to a blind man if he holds on to a cow's tail? The cow runs here and thither, and the blind man undergoes a lot of pain. That's the story. Once upon a time, there was a blind man wishing to go to his father-in-law's house, tracking the way with the help of his walking stick. Very soon, while passing through a field, he came across a cowherd boy and asked, "Brother, can you please do me a favor by leading me to my father-in-law's house?" So the blind man finds out that there is another person on the road and he is asking for help to be led to his father-in-law's house. At this, the cowherd boy replied, "I am busy in tending so many cows. If I take you to your father-in-law's house, all the cows will run away. I can do one thing. I can find a docile and faithful cow of mine, and you can just catch hold of her tail and she will take you to your in-law's house." Thus advised by the cowherd, the blind traveler firmly caught hold of the cow's tail, and the cow began walking while trailing him behind. However, the cow got quite scared of the strong pulling of its tail by the blind person, and hence she behaved so frantically that the blind person was virtually being pulled roughly along the road and through the thorny bushes, while suffering frequent hard kicks of the cow's hind legs. As a result, the blind man's body was severely injured and his garments were all torn apart. Anyway, he arrived in the dead of the night in his in-law's house in a very wretched condition with cuts and bruises and totally naked. The servants of his in-law's house took him to be a cattle thief and punched and slapped him in order to release him from the cow's tail. Thus, the blind man suffered unlimitedly. And what's the moral of the story? Those who have ulterior motives take shelter of so-called gurus instead of truly bona fide spiritual masters, and ultimately suffer very badly, like the blind man in this situation. Any and every person cannot lead one to the supreme abode of Godhead, and no unauthorized person can do us true welfare. It is therefore obligatory that one should take shelter of a bona fide Krishna conscious spiritual master without any hesitation. So there are so many gurus out there who teach so many mental gymnastics and so many different things. Right? There is this art of living, there is this Nityananda, there is this Chinmayananda, there is that Sivananda, there is this so many Anandas all over, Vivekananda, and so many Anandas who give so many different ideas, and they are all like the cows. And common people, they are all like the blind men. They do not know what is truth and what is not true. And so because they have some sentimentalism, they just go and start hearing from all these Mayavadis and impersonalists. And what happens to them is they are being misled by all these Mayavadis who are themselves blind. So what happens when a blind man leads another blind man? Both of them fall into the ditch, right? Adanta gopir vishatam tamishram. This is what Prahlad Maharaj says, that if the person is himself blind, how can he lead you? And if a blind man leads another blind man, then they both land up in a piteous condition. So one has to know what is truth and what is untruth, and for that one has to read Bhagavad Gita as it is, and one has to sharpen his intellect. One has to read Bhagavad Gita from a devotee of Krishna, and then he can understand what is truth and what is not truth. And if one is fortunate to hear Bhagavad Gita from a devotee of Krishna, then his eyes are open and then he can gradually become blissful. If not in this life, at least in the next future lives. Therefore, it is so foolish to just hear spirituality from anybody and everybody, because if you catch hold of a wrong person, then your whole life is ruined. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to say that if a person happens to hear from a Mayavadi, then everything is lost. Mayavadi bhashya sunile to hoye sarvanash. So Mayavada is so blatantly bad. To compare the living entity to the Supreme Lord is so foolish. But the Mayavadis say that you are God, I am God, everybody is God, and there is only one God. So my question to the Mayavadis is, if you are God, then why did you come under illusion in the first place? Right? If illusion can overpower God, then illusion is superior to God. And if illusion is superior to God, then God is not God, but illusion is God. Right? So this is a misleading argument. So if a living entity is coming under the spell of Maya, that means the living entity is tiny. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that the Prakriti is under his control. He is saying that Mayadhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sasaracharam, that under my control is Prakriti. And then he is saying that Daivi hi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. He says that this illusory energy belongs to me. Mamevaye prabhadyante maya metam tarantite. And Krishna says that one who surrenders to me understands the truth and he can come out of this illusion. So Krishna is superior to Maya and the living entity can fall under the grips of Maya. This is so very clear by reading Bhagavad Gita. But unfortunately the so-called Vedantists, even after years and years of study, they do not understand this purport, and they foolishly claim that the living entity and Vishnu are on the same level. This is the highest blasphemy. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to say that Mayavadi Krishna Aparadhi, that the Mayavada speakers, they are all Krishna Aparadhis because they bring Krishna to their level, or they compare Krishna with other demigods and so forth. So anybody who compares Krishna even with Brahma and Shiva is a great fool, according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and also according to the Vaishnava Tantras. They are all Pashandis and they will be punished by Yamaraj. That is what the scriptures are saying. So one has to be careful to hear from right sources, and then one day or other he may come to the point of pure devotional service and he may become blissful. But for that one has to accept a bona fide spiritual master or a pure devotee. And a bona fide spiritual master or a pure devotee is not interested in name, fame, wealth or any such thing. Nadanam, najanam, nasundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmanishware, bhavatat bhagavat, ahaituki tvai, bhakti rahaituki tvai. So a pure devotee is not interested in dhanam or janam or sundarim or name or fame or any such thing. He is only interested in pure, loving, humble service to Krishna, and he wants to do welfare for everybody by giving them this highest knowledge. That is the definition of a pure devotee. that he has no other ulterior motive. So one has to be careful to find such a person with no ulterior motive, and he has to get advice and guidance from him. So a fortunate person who is able to get advice from a bona fide spiritual master or a bhakta, he is very fortunate because one day or other he will reach Krishna. Brahmanda Brahmite Kon Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. So getting this pure devotional service is so rare. Out of thousands and thousands and millions of living entities that are just swarming this material world, only one or two pure souls or few souls, they get the mercy of the spiritual master and they perfect their lives and they go back to Godhead. So a sincere person with inquisitiveness to understand what is God, he will come in touch with a bona fide spiritual master. So Prabhupada used to say that people who wants to be cheated get cheated. So if you want something cheap, you will get a cheap person. But if you want to understand the ultimate truth, then you will come in touch with a bona fide spiritual master. And I can vouch very strongly that His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada is a bona fide spiritual master. So the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So if you want to understand the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, then you have to read his books. The books of Srila Prabhupada are all available in the ISKCON temples. So go to ISKCON temples, get his books and read it for yourself and understand it very critically. There is no sentimentalism involved here. You read it, if you like it, you take it. So I can only wish that people open their eyes to Krishna for their own benefit. If you just catch the tail of a cow when you are blind, then your life is hopeless. If you just remain a materialist, your life is hopeless. If you remain an impersonalist, your life is hopeless. If you just want to serve the society just by some so-called welfare work, your life is useless. So unless you come to the point of helping the society by giving society pure devotional service, your life is useless. So this is a very great science, it is not sentiment. So you have to open your eyes for your own benefit. Hare Krishna. Thank you.